Welcome to the show. My name is Lee, and this morning on Women's Day, I've got a very special guest with me, Rida Tharana, influencer, content creator. Hello, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here in the studio to talk to me more about, your journey as well and inspire, I'm sure, a bunch of young little kids listening this morning. And any message before we start off? Tell me more about yourself and how you got into this whole journey of content creation.
Again, I think Lee has introduced me quite well. I'm Rida Tharana. I'm from Coorg, but it's been quite 10 years that I'm in Bangalore.
Bangalorean now.
Yeah,
yes.
so I think I can call myself a Bangalorean right now. I love this place and I credit this place for a lot of things. One of them being able to have all of these platforms and opportunity is one. But I'm still a village girl. I'm still, my home is something that I want to go back to whenever I feel slightly low. I love the vibe there. I love everything that Coorg has to offer. So I came to Bangalore in the year 2016 for my graduation.
Oh, lovely.
I did my graduation in biotechnology and genetics for 3 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you're an engineer actually.
I'm not an engineer. It was a bachelor's.
Bachelor's in,
yeah.
okay.
I did have engineering, but then it was quite expensive. So the loan I had was only for so much. So I took a loan and then I moved in here.
Interesting.
And I started working when I was 17 because my parents were going through financial issues. They also were like, we cannot help you financially. So you need to figure things out. And that's how I started hosting events and taking up modeling gigs here and there. And I think the whole idea, I don't think I would have been this confident if it was not for my hosting and emceeing career.
I met you actually once as an MC
Where?
when I wasn't in this place at all. I was a volunteer actually.
Really?
At the Galleria Mall.
Oh, Galleria always
Yeah.
had me. Galleria.
I remember, yeah. So that's the first time I knew of Rida Tharana.
Is
And they
the-
were like, people were taking pictures. I was like,
Oh, at that time, I just recently became an influencer,
Yes.
but I was also taking up shows here and there.
Yes.
But Galleria did play an important role because
it was a Valentine's Day special.
yeah, they would always have me for all of their events. Any event, they'd first be like, can Rida come in?
Yeah.
And maybe then we'll figure out what to do and what not to do. So the first year, it was a struggle considering you were still understanding the plays. I used to earn
Right.
like 800 and 1,000 max. So 1,000 and
Wow.
1,000 Saturday and Sunday was 2,000. It was my mess fee. And then next Saturdays and Sundays, if I did get, because it's a competitive space
True,
as well. A
true.
lot of MCs have already established themselves and they're trying to find somebody who's new so you can get it for like a lower and
Lower
lesser
rate.
budget.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't know how to. I cannot negotiate for the love of God. Like if someone's selling things for like 500 and if I try to negotiate, I'll pay 1,000 and come back. Like I am that bad. Even though I know I can offer quite a lot, but I
Right.
could never negotiate money at all. So I was grateful that, oh my God, it's 1,000. I can pay my bills or I can just pay my fees. Then I started saving up. I stopped taking loan 2 years. And then the last final year of my graduation, I was taking care of it myself. I was paying it by myself. I was also, I think it was all cut to cut, It's also because the families where I come from, they've never taught you really to like dream big about money. And as a girl, they've only taught me to be like, yeah, for a man, somebody will take care of you.
Right.
You don't have to really worry about. So money is not something that I've been taught about at all. And it was really hard because whatever my parents made, it was enough to survive. So there's never a push or a wish to like make a lot of money. It was always like you're making enough, you're able to survive, and that's it, right? So that's all even I had. Whatever I made, I used to survive somehow. I kind of figured things out. And then later on, when I did get out of my college after I graduated, I really wanted to do masters, but I wanted to do masters not working because my entire college was me working on Saturdays and Sundays. And
right.
Monday to Friday, I was just
No time off for yourself.
no time off for
Right.
myself. So I wanted to do masters where I was like having some time. I was able to enjoy the college life and make a lot of friends and do everything. But again, it was also expensive. So that's how I jumped right into full-time emceeing. And I was slowly gaining recognition and people would call me from 1K, I went to 2K a day. And then from 2K, I went to 3K a day. I stuck to 3K for a very long time.
My goodness, 3K a day.
A day, yeah. So we started with 8 o'clock in the morning and goes all the way till 8 o'clock in the night.
And if you're an MC out there, you know that this is ridiculous. If you
Oh,
get paid
God.
3K for that, my goodness.
And then it slowly shifted to 5K.
Right.
So I was still very grateful. I'm like, okay, I'm making 5K. If I'm able to get a lot of gigs here and there, I can
You
make
can make
quite
this,
a lot of
yeah.
money. And that's when God was like, seems like you found your niche. Let me just spice it up for you. And pandemic happened.
Oh no.
And there is no way
Yeah.
you can do events
MCs really got
without
hit.
the
Yes.
crowd. And that industry really got hit
Definitely.
very, very badly. And everybody started thinking as to, can we really
Do we
look
need
at
MCs
this?
anymore? Yeah.
No, not just that. And also they really MCs themselves started looking at as, can I really depend on this
Job.
occupation
Yeah,
as something that could pay my bills? I really need to come up with something else that's
Mm.
passively coming in as well. It did hit really massively and bad. And that's when I joined corporates. I was in a call center. They told me I was a financial advisor, which is a very fancy term because I really
Wow.
thought I was a financial advisor, only to realize I was on calls every single day. And I did a really good job. So the call volumes I had was extremely high.
You have a nice voice, so they're like, yeah, we're gonna
Exact-
talk to you all the time.
I was so done. And I think there was this one point where I lost I slowly started getting events also because the
Right.
pandemic was slowly coming down. So I once took an event on Thursday, which was a corporate gig, and corporate gigs paid me way more than non-corporate
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
And so the team was like, you have to work on a Saturday. And I have never worked on a Saturday. I can't imagine working on a Saturday. Like right now, I don't know the days, so I'm cool with working any day. So I only
It's a
know
Wednesday,
the
by
dates.
the way,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I don't know days, so I can do dates. So I'm like, date, tell me the date. Days I don't remember. But then Saturday was traumatic. And I think I got a call and I kept taking calls. So it was 8 o'clock is when my logout time
Yeah.
was. And I get a call at 7:55.
Oh no.
That's where I started crying. I
Oh,
was
no.
crying. My manager comes and she's like, are you fine? Are you okay? I said, I can't do this. I was supposed to log out at 8. I can't do this. And she's like, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. And that's when I realized this is not for me. This is not and then I dropped my papers in the month of November. Also, when I started making content was October, November-ish. October, I used to post anything and everything. November is when I actively started like making content.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making content because I was going through a lot at that point of time. I had finished my graduation. My parents were like, you wanted to go to Bangalore. You went to Bangalore. You wanted to study. You studied. You wanted to work. You earned. Now come back and we'll get you married. And I never saw myself there at all. I was not ready for it. And it was issues and problems every single day. They'd always find errors with me. I could not make a mistake because anything I did would affect my sisters some or the other way.
Right.
And I didn't want them to not experience life and, be like, because of your older sister, we did not let your younger sister do it. And that's when I was like, I feel like life would have been way more easier if I were a man, because everybody in my family, the minute it was a boy, the money was saved for them to get a better education. They were always given a right preference. They have like everything shiny and everything that they want. But with us, it's always like, she can use that, or she can just rewear the same thing, or, you're saving it for the marriage. You have to anyways give dowry, and you have 3 girls on top of it. So it was always that. And that's when I was like, life would have been so much more easier if I were a boy. My parents would have really loved me, because my mom once did tell me, which stays with me all the time though, like, I wish you were a boy, things would have been so much more easier. I mean, she does not, she does take it back right now, and we have a really nice, healthy relationship at this point of time.
Lovely.
But at that time, it kind of stayed with me, and I was like, only if I were a boy things. And that's when I started making content. And I had like an iPhone SE or S8, is it?
I think so.
I don't know, S8, S8, SE or S8, I don't remember. And it was the cheapest at that point of time. I bought it on EMI. And I did not have a tripod. And I did not look at it as a content creation. I did not know how people made money out of this. I never watched YouTube, or I never consumed content whatsoever. I only liked posting things for myself. Like, Instagram was a space where I could go back to things that I did. And it made me really happy. So when I started making content, it came out of all the things that I was going through. It became like a place where I could just whine and talk about things that hurt me. And I did not know so many people could relate to it. So it was both, oh my God, so there are so many people who are relating to it. That's sad. But also, oh my God, there are so many people relating to it. That's good.
That's good.
So
yeah.
it's like a, love-hate relationship I had. But that space for me was where I could just went and get everything out. And I really loved it. So I did not expect it to grow in numbers. I did not expect it to make money, or I did not expect it to change my life at all. I just used that space as a space where I could just vent.
And now look at you, like, where have you come? It's amazing. The journey has been incredible.
Yeah, it is quite crazy though, now that I think about it.
Yeah, it is, of course. Your content, you mainly talk about how to motivate yourself at times, right? And you also talk about, you said you also rant at times, you talk about different situations, you have characters on your content. But in what ways would you say you encourage women to prioritize self-care and self-love in your content?
I think one of the most important change that I feel, or the DMs that I mostly get, is when I'm being myself out there, especially my skin color. Because I think India is a place where that's a taboo when it comes to how you look or how you are, and it differs for people to people. Insecurities line, but one of them is fairness cream, lightening creams. Why are you not fair? How will you find a husband if you're this dark? If you do find a fairer husband, and it's like you got lucky. If you find somebody who's dark, and then it's like he's doing amazing, exceptionally well. So it has never been a thing. So I think one of the things that I really like about me is I've gotten so comfortable with how I look and the skin color or how I'm able to present myself.
Right.
There are a lot of girls like me are also able to feel like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. And in the same way, I love gifting myself with every little achievements that I get, and I like pampering myself, because I usually used to wait for somebody to do it for me, and I realized, oh my God, if I'm going to do this, I'm never going to get anything. I will never be able to get flowers. I will never be able to get myself some nice rings, and I'll never be able to get what I like. So then I started investing and saving up money for things I like, and I would gift myself during certain achievements when I felt, and I'd be like, this is for you because you did this. This is for you because you're feeling sad. This
nice.
Is for you. So,
and I'm so glad you're promoting that aspect of, okay, if I have done something, it's okay to give myself this. It's fine to reward myself for this. It's okay.
I think the whole idea of being selfish is something that's taught to you too much. Like self-love is nothing but selfish. All you care about is yourself. And obviously we use term as narcissistic, we use term as depression, OCD, like out there, because those words exist. Like you're that, you're this, or whatever that is, right? And I really feel it's just being able to appreciate yourself for the way you are and how far you've come, little or more. Like your journey is very different from my journey. And that's what happens with social media, because when there is somebody who's living a certain lifestyle, a person who's not living that lifestyle thrives to live that. So you're never really content with what you have, because you're constantly like, I want to be able to reach there, and I want to be able to get that, and I want to be able to do this. But the whole idea of just being comfortable and wanting to be happy is in these little things, that be just reading your favorite book, or wearing that one lipstick that you thought would not go with your skin tone, and you're like, oh, this actually does look good. Or your hair just having a really good day.
I know about that. Yeah.
These are little things that kind of add up, because when you constantly keep waiting for something big to happen, most of the times you're just going to force yourself to be happy only when that happens.
Right.
So it's little things here and there.
You got to stop and smell the roses, they say, right? You got to stop and appreciate the small things in life. Any female influencers or female icons that you looked up to when you're growing up, and you're like, okay, this person really inspires me to be who I want to be?
I actually, again, as I said, when I came from, internet was something that was really tricky back in Coorg. So that came late.
My God.
We were not allowed to have phones for a long time as well.
Wow.
YouTube was also not something that was out there. So I did not really look up to anybody. And our shows were also some, that's what I keep telling. Even on Instagram, you do have a slight nepotism, because when you come from privileged families, you already have a nice iPhone. You already are exposed to trends and songs, which is in English, and the shows and everything. Like, I have not watched Hannah Montana.
Wow.
Or I have not watched Wizards of Waverly Place. It was so hard to fit in college, because whenever they spoke about those shows, I'm just like, what is this show?
Is this?
Because for us, it was like very big, because it took time. Even though it's cool, everything took time for us to come. And we were not allowed to watch TV, and when we did watch, we used to watch like serials, Hindi serials. I was there. Nobody knew the Hindi serials though.
I don't know any of Hindi serials.
See?
I don't know any of them. You name one of them, I won't know at all.
I'm sorry. So yeah, it was kind of like, how do I say? It was definitely a space where people take time to come. I forgot what the question was.
Who inspires you?
Yeah. So I didn't really have anybody, but I have a cousin. She's older to me. She's somebody who moved into Bangalore. So her mother got married. She was in the village in Coorg itself, but they later moved to Bangalore. And there's some family things that happen here and there, and she had to take care of the family all by herself. So she started working when she was 17 herself, and she was doing everything to make sure that she's getting educated. She was also helping her brother get educated. She was also taking care of her mother. She also was taking care of the rent, everything at a very tender age of 17 to 18. And it was so hard for her. And none of my family members ever appreciated her, but I always kept seeing and hearing her stories. We were not close at that time because she was still struggling and figuring out. But I just was like, this woman is from our family, somebody who always got criticized for just the way she was, the way she dressed, the way she was out there. But nobody ever appreciated the efforts, because if you really cared, why did you not help the family?
Yeah.
You know, you could have taken care of their education and everything. You left them to just what they had to do, and she had to figure it out. And the way that she chose, you were mad about it because they were like, oh, it should have been done in this way and that way. No, if you're not in their shoes, you don't have to have your mouth open at all. So she was always somebody I looked up to, and I always felt that she required a lot of appreciation as well. I didn't, it was not like I want to become like her, but I always was like, this woman did everything.
She inspired you, definitely.
Yes,
She like
without
showed you there's a
waiting
path.
for anybody. You know, she did not
Yeah.
wait for her father to come help her. She did not wait for anyone. She didn't ask help from anybody. She somehow figured things out for herself, and she's
Wow.
doing exceptionally well. We are very close right now. She's one of my favorite cousins. Anything happens, she's at my house, we're chilling, we're doing girls' night out. It's just beautiful to
nice.
see the bond we've built. But she's definitely one of the people who's inspired me to be independent and do what I want to do.
Amazing.
Her name is Alisha Naureen, by the way.
Oh, amazing. Shout out to Alicia. Thank you so much for inspiring this wonderful woman right here. In your journey, you've definitely faced a lot of criticism, backlash, hate as well that comes on social media. It's part of it. How do you handle with that? How do you handle that hate that comes through it?
So usually I had this theory that every year, November and December is when something goes wrong and
Right.
it gets harder for me. So November was slightly tricky. But this time I think it switched to February for some weird reason. I think it's a blend. I mean, what happens is, when you're on social media for a long time, people who stay with you for a very long time. They've known your journey. They've known where you've come from, what you've done, what you do, why you speak for what you speak, what's the reason for that and what's the reason for this.
There's context there. They know exactly.
Exactly what's happened. So when you're keep growing in numbers, now when you started off with the basis of experiences, you're also now a content creator. This is your bread and butter. You know what reels work, you know what reels don't work, what reels makes numbers and what reels do not, right? So now what happens is when certain topics that I talk about are controversial at times, I don't talk because of the numbers, but I know that this is something, I don't speak anything imaginative. I only speak when somebody very close to me has gone through it or when I have gone through it. Because I am not yet become a person who can imagine and write scripts. I can only do when something has happened. And this exactly, so what happens is when those reels go viral, you're only known for that reels, because the other ones, you have a lot of other ones, because I've tried to keep a blend of it all because I want brands to be able to collaborate with me. So there's transition at times, there are outfits and there's makeup and there's self-care and there's travel, like there are travel stories that I write. So that the brands are able to, because again, if I stick to just one niche, then I will only be able to tackle so many brands to work with. So if I open up the umbrella and horizon, I can. But what happens is people want to see and hear you only on certain topics. So only those kind of reels really work and they associate you with them. And that's exactly what happened. I think it was just random burst out of nowhere, which I did not see coming as well. And it was like a collective hate from a lot of people saying, oh, I did not like her anyway. And I'm so glad somebody's talking about it. I'm so glad. It's crazy because if you notice the pages that talk about, they only talk about women. You very rarely see a man spoken of until it's out there, but it's always about women. She wore that. What does she think of herself? I hate her content. She thinks of this sort and that sort. Even this is one person who made a video about me and Apurva and everything. Her whole content revolves, a lot of content pieces are around women. A lot of content pieces are around women, and here and there, just to balance it out, she'll put up like men here and there. And the whole controversy went like, all she speaks about is men. Like, ma'am, all you're speaking about is women too. Kusha Kapila did that, Rida Tharana is a hypocrite, and Kareena Kapoor did that. Like, it's always women, because that's the thing, no matter which generation you're in, women can always be something that can be spoken about. You're slut shamed, you're body shamed, your ideas are out there, and especially if you're opinionated. So if you're an opinionated woman, like, oh my god, her opinions are wrong, this is what she does. That if you're not opinionated, she does not speak at all. All she does is just transitions. All it is pretty. If it is about a person talking about their partner being good, all she just does is like talk about her partner, and it's all her boyfriend every single time. If you do talk about something that's about your experiences that you went through, an opposite gender, or like I have content pieces that is also about how my aunties have shamed me, but that does not really go well, okay? But the minute it is about men, some men, few men, it's all like, oh my god, all she talks about is that. All she's a misandrist, she's that, she's this, and I'm just like,
So
I am hitting the
how do you deal with it now? What do you do to like Do you read the comments?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
You don't.
So when I know it's happening, I mean, I do hear it from other people because they
Right.
constantly check up on me, like, are you
Right.
doing okay?
Yeah.
We saw that, we saw this, which is nice because when you're seeing from the other perspective,
Right.
you're not really taking it in because you're seeing it as somebody's commenting
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
So I just get in and I'm like, okay, there's something happening. But when you know the fire's gonna burn, why would you walk into the fire? You've learned it from your childhood that, fire is gonna
It's
burn
hot,
you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if it's something burning there, you wouldn't want to go put yourself and jump in. So I mean, I do reciprocate to comments few here and there, but that's it. I'll reciprocate and let it be. Then
That's
you
it.
guys now communicate
Take
and
it over.
engage, whatever you want to do with the comments. But it's also an engagement, right? It's also
I was going to say the exact same thing. Like, we don't realize that hate actually helps us grow a
Yeah,
little bit
it's-
more.
yeah.
I
it's
mean,
also
so
the
keep
reach.
hating, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
so I'm like, it's okay. As long as you're engaging, I'm cool. I can book my next trip because of your engagement. Because the brands are not going and seeing what this thing. Because they're
It's
like, okay,
just
how
the
much the
numbers.
engagement is and what it
Yeah.
is, right? And then that's exactly. So even with anything for that matter, I
Right.
don't really see it. I might hear it here and there, and then it's like, okay, sometimes it does affect. It does affect, and I take it slowly at that time, or I seek therapy. Or I speak to people that I need, but I don't actively go and check stuff by myself. So you can comment, you can do whatever it is that you want. You can think that I'm going through it, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep posting. If you want to engage, you can engage. If you don't want to, you don't.
It's your
have to.
thing.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Now, being, a very successful woman in this day and age, what are the other challenges that you face throughout, like, as being a woman, per se?
I think, I recently realized that probably the relatability of me might not be as much as it would have been in the beginning, because my lifestyle has changed drastically.
Yeah.
I love it, not denying it. I love everything that this has been able to give it to me. But again, what I was talking about before had way more experience base that I don't really have right now, that I kind of deal with. So I'm constantly, as a woman, what I feel like, as you said, the hate, the slut shaming, the kind of target that you get, especially when you're out there on spaces like these, is too much, because you're constantly judged and you're constantly out there. So I was telling, right, if it's a male influencer taking somebody they love out there, and it's like this girl is taking advantage of the guy, she's doing it for the clout and this whatever. But if it's a female influencer taking somebody who's not an influencer as a boyfriend, and somewhere is like, the poor guy has to come out of this with this girl, the poor guy is just so sad to deal with all of these things, the poor guy needs to be there for her, and the difference that you find is so different. Even with when you see a male influencer can do anything on their feed and you'll only get like very little hate, but it's always like they can use slangs, they can do, it's cool, like, oh bro, yes, go on. And if it's the same female influencer doing it, you're just going to be like, oh, what kind of a woman are you? You're that, you're this, you're disgusting. It's to an extreme. So the hate is to an extreme, and it's sad because you're in the 20s, you're in this century. You're in the century and you just think like maybe things have changed, but it's just nicely sugar-coated and properly well put. And internet for me, though, I feel like has become like my family. They're toxic relatives and parents, and they're going to keep shouting at you and screaming at you and telling shit about you because they're like, oh, you're my blood. My family used to say, because you're my blood, and they tell you because your account is public and you're an influencer, so you get to listen. You have to listen to whatever we tell you.
How do you, any message to all the people out there when they give you this hate, like, as in, any message you want to give them?
Oh no, I think I realized that you can't force people to like you. If you have like right now, you could have not invited me. You could have been like, okay, I've been reading all of these things about Rida, and your perspective might have changed for me, right? But you know me, you've met me, and you know what it is, and you still wanted me here. So if you view me in a certain way, you view me in that way. But if you view me with hate and you view me as whatever it is that you want to believe in, nothing I do will change you with it.
Yeah.
So I can get you the sun and the moon, I can get you the stars, I can help you with everything, and you'll still be like, she has some motive behind it.
Right.
But if you like me for who I am and you've known me personally, everything that I do, you will feel like, okay, this person. So I really can't say anything. You hate me, what can I do? But maybe like invest the same time in your life so that you're able to like reach some place and do things that you're able to do. Because at the end of the day, even let's consider you're doing it for me to affect. I get affected, I take therapy, I can afford therapy too.
Right.
Thanks to everything, I can afford therapy. I can get therapy. If not, then it'll take me some time. It'll take me like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Then I'm all fine again and I'm doing things that I want to do. But with you're going from one person to another person and to another person and to another person. Like the whole social media has become a thing where you want to teach a person a lesson, you want to put them down and you want to make them like, is that what your life is that what you really want your life to be? What did you do in your
Right.
20s? I was hating on an influencer, trying to teach them a lesson. That's
Oh my
sad.
goodness. That's true, though. I mean, hate can be detrimental. I'm so glad you've brought yourself out of that, and not really taking it too much. Taking it to heart too much.
Oh, I'm not.
I'm glad you're not.
I mean, they're not people I know personally, so I really don't want to.
Yeah.
People who know me really personally, they have been there. Like
Right.
every time they're like, "Oh, you're a misunderstood." I have so many guy friends, and they genuinely appreciate me, and I genuinely appreciate them. And it's nice the kind of balance that they have. And I think it was my best friend who was like, "Rida, I wouldn't be your best friend if you were a misandrist. I love you. You're amazing, and you should know this." And I was just like, "Oh, Curie, what are you reading?" It's like, "Oh, I've been through your comments." Why? Where are you getting the time? But yeah, they're very sweet people.
Awesome. Last message to all the young women out there who probably feel, let down by their families maybe or by society in general. What message do you want to give them this morning on Women's Day?
I understand that it's a privilege for a lot of them to say that my family has my back, or my best friend has my back, or my boyfriend has my back, my husband has my back, or whatever. It's a privilege for a lot of them, but for a lot of them, it's not. So I want you to just know that the first person you can completely and truly depend on is yourself. The rest of them, they come, they stay, they stay. They don't stay, they don't stay. When you know you are going to be there for you no matter what, God will take care of everything. You don't have to worry about anything. I think that's one of the lessons that I learned too. At this point of time, I know that internet is a crazy place. Your friends might stay, might not stay. But at the end of the day, the reason I can be sane is knowing that I know my truth. I know who I am. I'm going to be with me no matter what. And if you lose the sense of yourself and you give that to somebody else to validate, that's where you mess it up. Because you constantly want that person to validate for you to only know that you're able to exist because of them or because of that. So the minute you give that power to yourself, you'll be able to do things way more, much better. Your expectations with other people are lesser. You're able to expect things from yourself. You do things for yourself. And then because you're so kind to yourself, you're able to also be kind to other people. You're also able to give them the best thing possible out there. So yeah, it all starts with you. So bloom within yourself, do things for yourself, and grow within yourself, and everything just falls right in.
Amazing. Happy Women's Day once
you.
again, and have a great day. Thank you for taking the time to come and talk to me this morning about this.
You didn't leave me.
Yeah, I was kind of persistent. I was like, please, really need you to come down. And I'm so glad you did. And have a lovely, lovely day. And thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the platform. It's always a delight.